You're watching National Streaming Sports. Over 20 podcasts, 70 shows, and a 3.5-star rating on Roku TV.
I liked adding you first to see if you would have freaked out, but there was no emotion in your face like, oh fuck, he ain't even here yet. But Tom Jones, T3, how you doing, brother? Good to see you.
Good to see you too, Captain Jack. Good to be back with you. We're in this crazy off-season time. Got a lot to talk about.
Yeah. Before we get into the stuff that we were kind of talking about today that we wanted to talk about, and by the way, it's always a pleasure when I have people that know shit. Because I know shit. But I don't know everything. I don't profess to know everything. I know a lot. But when you have somebody else who knows a lot comes on with you, so you got two people who know a lot of shit and good shit at that, then it's a good thing. So before we get into NFL draft talk, which we will be doing, I want to obviously address what this is. This was Masters Sunday, and that was the picture that I have on the YouTube board. And positively, Rory McEvoy, congratulations on finally getting that Grand Slam. And the picture that I have on the screen is when he had to go to the playoff because he fucked up in about the last 6 holes. He dropped about 4 strokes in the last 6 holes, and I was watching it. And even the last hole, he was up 1 and he bogeyed 18. And you could see that was kind of like a gut punch because now he had to go to the playoff. Justin Rose is awaiting him, and Justin Rose was climbing up the board the entire day. So Justin Rose was at -11, and Rory went up and down to -12, back to -11. So on the first hole of sudden death, McEvoy and Rose, and McEvoy looked like he got the yips, no yips at all. It was a very strong tee shot, a very strong second shot, and then he birdied. And it was even the second shot was real close to the hole. Justin Rose, decent first shot. The second shot was a bit away, and then for his birdie putt, he went right outside the hole, so he didn't get his birdie. Got the par, and then McElroy finished it. And again, congratulations to Rory McIlroy on that. And for other news, my Flyers lost in overtime to the Senators, but they've been playing a hell of a lot better since they cut Tortorella loose. My Phillies got fucking bombed by the Cardinals. And in the United Football League, who the fuck cares about the United Football League? I don't. I was going to be involved with a real spring football league, but that hasn't happened. So until that happens, I can give a flying fuck about spring football. Really. Because if the league doesn't involve me and the people that I know that will do a fantastic job with the football league, I don't want to watch. I can give a flying fuck about it. It's a bunch of people. Some of them are NFL ready, and then maybe these are the guys that get picked up, like they used to do in European League. They come right from the Euro League right to the NFL, and they'd go. Kurt Warner was started in the indoor football arena football league, went over to Europe, did well, was on the roster for the Rams when Trent Green had an injury in the preseason. Yeah, and took him to the Super Bowl. So, it can be done. But honestly, and I say this with, that's a home run. Sorry, Dodger fans. But somebody just clocked a home run. I know Ed Winchell's watching. So, Ed, you're down. Pete Crow Armstrong cracked the home run. So if you Dodger fans out there, you're losing now 3-2. So we're up to date there. It can be done, but until there's a league that involves me in spring football, I don't care. So that's out of the way. The Phillies lost, got their ass kicked. The Flyers lost in a shootout. Actually, they lost in overtime. And they have been playing better. And who gives a fuck about the United Football League? So we're up to date, Tom. If you're up to date, Tom. Oh, I got the circles. How the hell are you, brother?
I am good, Jack. Let me catch up to date a little bit further, since it's been a while since we've chatted. There is a team in the NCAA men's basketball that won the national title last week, who I think you may have kind of an affinity for.
Yes, I do. And I busted it. I told people I was going to try to find my Gator hat and a Gator. It would have been a Gator football jersey, but I forgot until you reminded me that I forgot. So thanks, Tom, for reminding me. I forgot.
Yeah. Well, congratulations on that. Now, a couple things real quick. I have a friend out in California who said they should rename the United Football League the United Football Union so we can all say UFU. So, maybe get that. Now, let me get one piece of housekeeping out of the way, which is some sad news, but I want to go ahead and pass that along. And I'm sure that football fans around the country and around the world, really, as we come up to the draft, we got some tragic news over the weekend. LSU wide receiver Kyron Lacy committed suicide over the weekend. He was charged with negligent homicide and felony hit and run, going back to a December 24th incident, and they were getting ready to go to a grand jury this coming week. And I know that Lacey's name was up on the draft boards up somewhere in the second and third round, but he did take his own life. So I want to send out my heartfelt condolences to the Lacey family, the entire LSU football community, and want to just send out a word to everybody out there who's listening. Mental health is nothing to shake a stick at all. If anybody has a situation where you feel like you're at the end of your rope, please reach out to someone. Please reach out to anyone, whether it's a close friend, a former teacher, colleague, whatever. There are people out there who will listen and will give support. Once again, lives are a precious thing, and it's difficult to lose someone, whether you know them or not, who's only 25 years of age, who had his whole life ahead of him. So we think of tragic situations all the time, but I want to keep the Lacey family and the entire LSU football community in our thoughts and prayers. So I wanted to go ahead and just kind of get that out of the way before we start talking Raider stuff.
Yeah, and again, I say this, there's no sneer in my voice in this. I don't normally say anything or think anything positive for LSU because I'm a Gator, but I'm saying that to say this. When you talk about a life of a young individual, it doesn't matter what team he's on. Okay, it doesn't matter. LSU is a fantastic program, and again, I don't cheer for him. But my deepest condolences and sorrow and positives go out to the entire Cajun fans out there for LSU, for the Tigers, and all of that. Because again, it's a young life, and again, it's hard when you even say this is somebody that tragically didn't feel like they needed to stick around anymore. And the unfortunate thing is that his actions, I'm sure, will make others around him, his friends, his family, just have that much more of a dead heart. And that is tragic. So, suicide is harsh. Yeah. And please, again, if you ever feel like I don't want to be here anymore, please reach out to somebody, because I can guarantee you there are many, depends on what your number is, but there are many that want to see you here with us. So again, my best to the Lacey family. And I've heard of him. He was a very good receiver. Like you said, second, third round grades. LSU receivers are fantastic in the NFL, but that's beside the point. Kyron Lacey was a fantastic individual that is no longer here. So our best to him. And thank you for bringing that up, Tom. I did not know that.
Yep. Now let's talk about some Raiders.
There you go. I'm going to go over to wave at my Instagram people here. Sorry, Instagram people. I'm on a slant because I'm charging my phone as we speak as well. Come on over to YouTube. And you don't see my belly as much on YouTube. They get a big picture of my belly. So go ahead, brother.
Jack, I'm an open book tonight. So you tell me what you want me to, what knowledge you want me to impart, or what guesses you want me to make, and I'll be happy to do that.
Yeah, you're giving me carte blanche, man. I don't know. I don't know about that one. Don't ever give me carte or leave me a straight. If you're a lady, don't leave me a straight line. I tell you. And I'm gonna do something amusing. You might get a kick out of this, you might not. I was at Publix with my wife the other day, and the lady I said I have to move some money from my one account to the other account because it was kind of low. And the one gal that was like a younger manager said, "Well, hey, why don't you move some my way?" A decent looking gal, and I'm like. And I looked, and I stepped on my tongue because it was her and the two people that were at the register. And I said, "You know what, hon? I don't know you well enough to say what I was going to say." And the way I said that, her face brightened, but it also was kind of like in a state of shock because I was like, basically, honey, if I'm going to move some money your way, you're going to be working for it. But, it didn't come out. I stepped on it. I did not say it, Tom, and I'm very happy that, because again, she doesn't know me that well. But so I can be a nice guy when I can be. So what was my, I don't know what the fuck my point was. It was about
I was giving you carte blanche.
Carte blanche. There you go. Thank you. See, reel me back in. But I'll tell you what, the things that I want to talk about, Tom, because I've heard so much, and I was talking with Hollywood today, and Hollywood was saying, hey, I heard the Raiders are making a trade. I said, yeah, I've heard that too, maybe to the Bears or to the Browns or maybe to the Cowboys. And no. He said the Saints want to take our pick, move up to 6 because they think that Shador might be there. And they want to move up to 6, give us their 9 and a second. I'm like, fuck yeah, I will take that. So we'd get a first rounder, which would be pick number 9, which is only dropping back 3, plus their second, which is again like 3 after ours in the second round. So it'd be like a boom, boom in the second round. You could play with that. You can play with that. Ed Winchell says we're not doing anything with the Saints. But you know what, Ed, and I tell you, if that happens, and the only way it happens actually is if Shador Sanders is on the board at 6. If Genty's still on the board at 6, maybe the Cowboys trade up to us if they don't trade up to number 5. So I've also heard that the Cowboys might jump us at 5 in order to get Ashton Genty. There could be a lot of movement in this draft. And honestly, I don't want to move up unless, and this is the unless, I would move up to 2 to the Browns in order to get Travis Hunter, because that fills a cornerback / receiver role right off the bat. And he is the best athlete in the draft. I think that, there are plenty of other people, but if you're going to go up to 2, I'm going to get Travis Hunter or maybe even Carter. I can go Abdul Carter if his foot checks out. That scares me a bit about having the same type of ailment that put back Jacoby Ford and DMAC. Those foot injuries kind of scare me. So if he checks out physically, I can see us going to number 2 for that. I ain't going to number 2 to get Shador Sanders. I ain't going number 2 to get anybody but maybe Carter, maybe Travis Hunter. But again, if the draft falls to us, I would do that in a minute. So your thoughts on the people that the Raiders should target, and what we'll say with trades, without trades, I'd like to hear your thoughts on that.
Okay, first of all, I think we're all in agreement that Cam Ward is going to go number 1 overall to Tennessee. I don't think there's a whole lot of people that disagree with that. Cleveland at the number 2 spot, I think that they're debating right now. I don't think they're going to trade out the pick. I think they're just debating about whether they're going to go with the stud defensive end from Penn State or Travis Hunter. I think they're going to say, okay, do we want the dynamic edge rusher to team up with our premier number 1 defensive player in the whole NFL, or do we want to go with who the best athlete in the draft? So I don't think they can go wrong either way, but I don't think they trade out that pick. I think that they go one way or the other. Now, depending on how they go, I think if Hunter goes 2nd, I think Abdul Carter will go 3rd. If it happens the other way, I think it'll go the other way. But either way, I think those guys go 2, 3. Now, here's my thought. Very intriguing about Dallas possibly jumping up to grab Genty. I think he will be there at 6, to be honest with you. I think he will be there at 6. And the Cowboys wouldn't have to trade up to 5 to get him. They could trade up to 6 if they could do that. Now, here's the thing. The Cowboys have a lot of needs. And if I were doing the pick, and again, if it were me as the general manager, of course it's not. Raider fans, you can breathe a sigh of relief. It's not me making the calls here. But I would really be scratching my head as to whether to take Genty at the number 6 pick or Will Johnson, the cornerback out of Michigan. And the reason why I say that is because in the second round, there are two very good backs, both out of Ohio State University, both of who played directly with Chip Kelly. One is Trevion Henderson. He had 7.1 yards per carry last year. He had 1,216 yards and 10 touchdowns. He also had 27 catches for 284 yards last year. So he has that Jalen Richard type of quality. I've also heard him compared a lot of people early to Marshall Faulk. Now, also, in addition to Trevion Henderson, you've got his running mate, Quinshawn Judkins, who ran for 5.5 yards per carry last year for 1,260 yards, 14 touchdowns, and he also caught 22 passes for 161 yards and a touchdown. So I think if you go with Will Johnson as your cornerback, and the only drawback from him is his injuries, because he's got an injury history, which is a little concerning, but anytime you have a player that's been injured in college, you kind of take a little bit of a chance. Are they going to get healthy, or are they going to be just that injury-riddled guy? But Will Johnson, he's 6'4" and 212, and he's got lots of upside, and he's that big corner, and which you almost have to have a big corner in today's NFL who's got a lot of speed. So I think you couldn't go wrong picking him in round one, and then ending up with either Henderson, who'd be my number one pick for round two, or Quinshawn Judkins. Either way, you come out with a running back in round two, which is what you need, and somebody, but two guys really who are really familiar with Chip Kelly's system. He knows how to use them. They're both dependable, and that would give you not one but two starters within the first two rounds. And you couldn't ask for anything more than that. In the draft history that the Raiders have had, it's been hit or miss, mostly miss. They haven't picked well in terms of overall talent on the board, but they also haven't picked well according to need. So this could be, again, turning the corner. We had a good draft last year. I think we had a good draft the year before. So we're on a good track now where things are starting to pan out. And if we could do this and just continue to stoke the flames, stoke the fire, I think it would be good. So I don't know. Genty, he could be there. Definitely, I think he would be there at number 6. Again, unless the Cowboys do trade up to 5, but I don't see that happening. It could be Genty or Johnson. I'd go with Johnson, and then I would take one of the two Ohio State backs in the second round.
Now, having said that, and I've seen Will Johnson as well, and fantastic. We haven't had a bad track record with getting cornerbacks from Michigan at about pick 6. I know we picked up Woodson at 4. I said about pick 6. And yeah, he was a Hall of Famer. I'm not saying he's Charles Woodson. And Will Howard is a fantastic corner. But the injury history is the things that people are talking about. Yeah. Did I say that?
Yeah, so Will Howard.
Or Will Howard. Well, oh, okay. See, I'm thinking ahead. Yeah, Will Johnson. Yeah, Will Johnson out of Michigan. Will Howard, the quarterback out of OSU, but we'll talk about him in a minute. But the history of Will Johnson, the injury history, like the same thing about the history with the foot of Carter, maybe moving up to get Carter. That kind of scares me as well. You really don't think Tanya, yes, we do need a quarterback, but I don't think we need a quarterback. And thank you for watching, Tanya, over there on Facebook. Okay. We do need a quarterback. I agree, honey. And we're going to get one. But and please, I say this patiently. We'll talk about that. But I don't think we're going to get a quarterback in round 1 where we are. And even if we do maybe that trade, like, for example, let's say that people were talking about that trade that I said that we get the Saints and then we get 2 picks in round 2. You were talking about both of those backs from Ohio State, and they're projected about that level, high seconds. We can actually kind of go back to back and get both Trevion Henderson and Judkins with those picks on trades if a trade was to materialize there. Saints-wise. But I think that one of those Ohio State backs is going to be the choice in round 2. Getting back to my point about Will Johnson, I got it right this time. What's your feelings about maybe, I don't want to say reaching, but kind of overdrafting, maybe by a couple spots? I think the kid's name is Jahdae Barron, and he's the other corner that is the first-round talent. And I know you have all your stats ready. You might see, this is why I said you threw me a curveball, and I'm going to try to hit it, and I'm not going to try to throw you a curveball back. But he's another first-round talent at cornerback, not named Travis Hunter, that would be available there. And maybe you say, well, this guy, I'm not sure what his immeasurables are, but I know that he is a I'm talking, so I know that you are pecking in your computer to try to find him as well. See, I know you, Tom. I can see your devious mind there, but his measurables, and maybe he might be the pick at 6 if we want to go cornerback position. And by the way, we haven't even said if maybe Mason Graham is there, because if Mason Graham is there, or if Armand Membo is there at 6, I have no problem getting those guys either. We're going to get somebody really good at 6 if we stay at 6. If we move back to 9, we're still going to get somebody really good for that as well. So remember, my choices are Membo, Graham, Will Johnson, or maybe Barron as that guy that will flip-flop with him depending upon the physical stuff. So you get a good a really promising defensive tackle, you get a really promising offensive lineman, or you get a really promising cornerback at that spot in the first round. So your thoughts there, sir?
If you're going to go with somebody other than Genty or Will Johnson, the guy that I would go with really is Jalen Walker, the outside linebacker out of Georgia, because he has got a lot of outside speed. He can lock down that interior. And of course, we've lost 2 starters in the linebacking core. Now, I know we picked up Devin White recently, and we've got the young kid out of Ohio State coming back in year 2, Eichenberger. But Jalen Walker, really, he's got great speed and athleticism on the edge. You pair him up with Malcolm Kuntz and then either Max Crosby on one side or the other, or both. I think you're really looking at bolstering that back. The back end of that defense. And I think that's really what you need. The Raiders have not paid very much attention to drafting linebackers over the last decade. They haven't really had a good young stud linebacker. They had a chance to get Micah Parsons, but didn't feel the need to trade up to get him. But that's the direction I would go if you go with somebody other than either Genty or Will Johnson. I'd go with Jalen Walker, the linebacker out of Georgia.
And I've seen Jalen Walker as a Gator, because you were talking about my Gators earlier. It's not like I don't know about Georgia defenders. And like you said, the last 6-7 years, all of the defenders that came out of Georgia that went right to the pros, and yes, I know we could have had Carter. I don't want to have those. We could have had Carter. And we ended up getting Tyree Wilson. But at the time, you got to remember, at the time, it was right after the tragic events with Henry Ruggs. And we did not want to be put on the oh shit measurement of we drafted another guy who has problems with speed and vehicles. And yeah, we blew that because Carter's been nothing but phenomenal for the Eagles. And yeah, we blew that. And Tyree Wilson has been just another guy. When he's playing, hopefully he'll do something this year. Like Mike Sarah was saying, he was supposed to be really good. He was, but that was that injury history kind of bit us in the ass there. And the history with Carter,
I'm not sure. I'm not sure Jalen Carter. I'm not sure that Jalen Carter in Las Vegas would have been a good idea anyway. There are certain players and certain individuals that just don't. match up in certain cities and areas where there's a lot of nightlife and a
Right.
lot of things going on. I don't think Jalen Carter in Las Vegas would have gotten along very well.
Yeah. Well, and again, that's what the main reason why we were talking about. So, the kid in an environment of Vegas, and we had just had the Henry Ruggs incident. So remember that as one of the main reasons why. And Tyree Wilson was available, and I was very happy with the Tyree Wilson pick. And I will be very upset if the guy never pans out to be just another guy, kind of like Clay Farrell's just been just another guy. So I agree with that. Jalen Walker would be fantastic. So that's another guy that could be there for. I mean, look at these names, or look at and listen to these names. One of these guys is going to be a Las Vegas Raider, and it's going to have an immediate impact on offense or defense. Basically, they're all defenders except for Membo and Genti. But the rest of the guys we've been talking about were guys that are going to help with the defense, maybe the second region, Legion of Boom, or the Allegiant of Doom 2, if you want to play off the stadium name. And I can see that coming with Pete motivating that defense to be what he wants it to be, and we win defensively. So I can see that as well.
We also didn't mention the other guy, and that's Teterola McMillan, the stud wide receiver out of Arizona, who may be, other than Travis Hunter, the first receiver picked. So we didn't even talk about him. I think that's too high a spot for him to be drafted, but I've heard his name and certainly in the mix.
Yeah, and Ted McMillan, I do actually read some of the clickbait. Because again, there's really nothing else to do when you go home and say, this is, Raiders do it. Raiders do it. And one of the things that kind of rung true, let's see what Tanya has to say. I'm very concerned with her. Yes, Tanya, we all are. But I honestly think that we're not going to fuck things up this year. Like Tom T3 was saying, the fact that the Raiders, the last two drafts, have pretty much drafted a lot better than they have historically. And getting back to point with Ted McMillan, one of the things that really hit the point with me was they reminded him of Darius Hayward-Bay. A lot of speed, a lot of flash, and at least I would say McMillan actually can catch the ball a lot better than DHV did coming out of the draft. But as you said, I think that's a little high for a receiver. Even receivers like the kid that was that went to the Cardinals, whose father was a Hall of Famer for the Colts, and even the receiver that went to the Giants. There you go, Marvin Harrison Jr. And the kid that went to the Giants that actually had a better year than Marvin Harrison Jr., but still, that's a little high for me. For somebody that I want somebody with immediate impact on the defense, or I want somebody that with immediate, like I said, you would say, well, Membo's not going to give you immediate impact on the offense. I declare, yes, he will. Because you put that bastard in a guard or tackle, and somebody on the opposite side is going to be moved off of them in run blocking and in pass blocking. So that is immediate impact. I give it to you, Tom. Your other thoughts too.
No, you hit the nail on the head. And again, there are a couple of others. When we look at receivers, I think as you dip down and look at the number 68 spot, which again goes to the third round, you've got some talent. It's a fairly deep receiving core. You've got Jaden Higgins, the wide receiver out of Iowa State. He's 6'4", 215, a really big-bodied receiver who had some good numbers. You've also got a guy named Savion Williams. He's a wide receiver out of TCU. 6'5", 225 with a lot of speed. And again, you're looking at that big body receiver who can really stretch the field. So you've got two really good guys there at the number 68 spot. So you could very easily pick up a receiver there. You wouldn't have to waste that pick early on T-Mac. But again, if you're looking at picking up the corner, Will Johnson, if you're just going by my draft and nothing else, if you get Will Johnson in round 1, let's say you end up with Travion Henderson in round 2, and then you get a guy like Jaden Higgins or Savion Williams. Well, now you've got a starting cornerback, a starting running back who already has married with the offensive coordinator, very solid. And then you get a big body receiver on top of that in your top 3 rounds. That's a pretty damn good draft.
I mean, hey, that's a draft that the people were saying, well, why can't the Raiders draft like insert team here? You know, they did this, and this, and look what happens. Well, I will remind you that last year in rounds 1, 2, and 3, we had a tight end that was record breaking and should have been rookie of the year. I'm a little biased. In round 2, we got what will now be our starting center in Jackson Powers Johnson, who was a beast. It was a first-round talent, okay, and is going to be our starting center. And speaking of offensive linemen, in round 3, we got Glaze out of Maryland. That's our starting right tackle as of right now. 1, 2, 3, plug and play. And that was with last year's draft. So that we're doing things the right way. Hi, Asia. I see Asia's back. And Hot Nail, you take care of yourself as well. Thank you for being here. Anybody watching here, we are talking Ask Captain Jack, and we're also asking T3 Tom Jones because he's in on the show tonight. We're all talking Raiders stuff. We're pontificating. There's a big word. We're pontificating about possible Raiders to be in this draft. And hey, Hollywood's in the house. Good to see you, Hollywood. I was talking. Hey, Hollywood, I already mentioned you in the Saints trade possibility, so I didn't forget. Hollywood was mentioning because he heard that at some of the clickbait things. So we'll see.
Now, as far as quarterback goes, let's zero in on that because there's been a lot of talk about quarterback. And before the draft started, I was all in on the fact that the Raiders had to draft a quarterback. Because again, we didn't really see what we had. I mean, I was not willing to go forth with Aiden O'Connell. He's a good player, but he's not a franchise guy. He's not the answer. Again, he could be a good solid backup, but I didn't see him as the answer. When we signed Geno, that changed everything as far as this season goes. And I'm not saying we don't need to draft a quarterback and look at the future because I still think we do. But I think that allowed us to pull back a little bit and shore up some other needs. I think we still need to draft a quarterback somewhere in there, and we'll talk about some possibilities. Yeah. But there's only one quarterback that I saw really over the course of the year who was a first-round talent, and he's going to be the first overall pick. I've never really been sold on Shedeur, to be honest with you. And I know he's got a talented arm, but I've seen him play and I've seen him melt down in situations where you really have to rely on that guy to make the play and kind of hoist the team up on his shoulders. He hadn't really been able to do that to the point where I would feel comfortable putting the team in his hands. And there's a lot of swagger and a lot of bravado with the Sanders family. And of course they've earned that. Dion has earned that. And yeah, exactly. Yeah. But I'm going to mention a name and Captain, this is a name I think you're familiar with. And if there's any possible way, and if Tom Brady has any pull at all with his good friends down in Tampa, I would try to see if we could negotiate a trade and bring in the young quarterback who was drafted by Tampa back in the 2021 draft. He'd been in his 5th year now. And he's a guy by the name of Kyle Trask. And I mention that because
Mm-hmm.
Kyle Trask, in my opinion, has much more upside than any of the quarterbacks in this year's draft. And you might have to sacrifice a little bit in order to get him. But if you could get Kyle Trask on board, and if Brady can pull whatever strings he wants, there's your young quarterback right there. There is your heir apparent to Geno Smith. And somebody, again, who Tom Brady has talked about. And I've heard Kyle Trask's name mentioned on several occasions, but it's kind of gone under the radar. But when I look at who all is out there available, and I look at the fact that the Browns have Joe Flacco, ooh, I'm scared about that. I would really be scared about that if I were a Browns fan. But again, when you look at other names of quarterbacks that are out there, that's the direction I would go initially. I'd still try to draft a quarterback, and there are some out there that you could draft lower, but that's what I would take a look at.
I wouldn't. I'm going to say this. Obviously, I am biased about Kyle Trask because he's a Gator, and so I'm getting that out of the way because I'm going to say, oh, well, he likes him because he's a Gator. Yes, I do. And he's been here in Tampa because that's where I am. I'm in Tampa, and he hasn't really got a shot at the field because Brady was there for a couple years, winning Super Bowl. So I think Trask got like the ring behind Brady there as the backup. Then they go out and they get Baker Mayfield, and Trask is waylaid it again. So they're behind a very capable, under their coordinators, Canales and Liam Cohen. Baker Mayfield what was made to be that guy. Okay, because Dave Canales made him and made that offense click, which is why he's now coaching the Carolina Panthers. And then Liam Cohen comes in and basically made him even better, or made that offense better for Tampa Bay. And now he's coaching the Jacksonville Jaguars. And I tell you, the way I don't know, if you guys aren't living here like I am, the way Liam Cohen left, because he was, I'm going to come back in. I'm getting a new contract. And I'm going to be your offense coordinator. I'm very happy here. And then the Jaguars figured out that the reason nobody wanted to friggin' coach that team was because their general manager was that fucktard that was in San Francisco all those years. His name escapes me right now. Oh, Trent Baalke, right? I think that's the guy. That's the name. Trent Baalke was the GM in Jacksonville, and Jacksonville said, hey, we got rid of Baalke. How about you come back in and do another interview? Hint, hint, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, right? So Liam Cohen said, oh, hell yeah, took the job, which really pissed off a bunch of people here in Tampa. And it was funny that they even made mention of it when they were doing the owners' meetings, when they had all the coaches together. And Liam Cohen is sitting right next to what's his nose, the Bucs head coach, not Brian Flores, the other defensive coordinator, head coach guy. Oh my God, I'm great. God, I know who I'm talking about. I just can't remember his name. The Buccaneers head coach.
Raheem Morris.
Okay. The African American. No, not Raheem Morris. Not Raheem Morris. The current one, the one that was the head coach for the Jets, and then he was in Tampa. Todd Bowles. Thank you, Jared. Todd Bowles. Yes, Todd Bowles. He's right next to Todd Bowles and they were like, ooh, look at that picture. And they even had, it was funny too, they had our coach in between both Harbaugh brothers. So you want to talk about placement of coaches to have people just chatter. You have Todd Bowles next to Liam Cohen on that picture, and then Pete Carroll next in between both of the Harbaugh brothers. That's a picture worth 3,000 words, not 1,000 words. But anyway, getting back to point. I know. Another Captain Jack shit. Hey, I got time to fill on the show. If you can get Kyle Trask, that would be fantastic. The problem with that is that Kyle Trask just signed a contract because he was a free agent, and the Bucks made him a very good. I don't know what I think it's more than a year. I think it's at least a 2-year deal. I'll have to look it up.
It's at least a 2-year deal.
Yeah, they gave him a big contract for this year. So I'm all for Kyle Trask because I know what he can do. I've seen what he can do in the collegiate level. And so not the problem, but the thing is what I would say, what does Chip Kelly think of Kyle Trask? That's the $1 million question. Because I was looking at when Dallas went ahead and traded for Joe Milton for a swap of sevens and a fifth. I said, well, fuck, I would have done that trade all day long. Joe Milton, with the capabilities that he has again in college at University of Tennessee, I would have done that trade all day long because he, just like Geno, he's a kid that can run and throw. And, I'm like, damn, that's who I like. There's another guy, SEC type, backup quarterback by the name of Hooker in Detroit that I would go after if we're going to go after quarterbacks that are already on somebody's roster that fit the mold of Geno Smith, guy that can run and can throw. Hooker. And by the way, you always need a hooker in Vegas. So I would go out and maybe possibly go and get Hooker from the Lions. But yeah, I'm not saying that getting Kyle Trask is not a bad idea. So yeah, I'm all for that, brother.
If the Lions aren't going to let Hooker go, my guess is that he's going to be the starting quarterback by 2026. That's just
okay.
That's my pontification.
If you can get a good hooker, I wouldn't let her go either. It was on social media that Tom Brady, was coming out of retirement to be quarterback for the Raiders. Tanya, that's no. Tanya, that is definitive clickbait bullshit. Okay?
No, wait a minute. No, in Tanya's defense,
no, that's good.
Tom Brady will come out of retirement and be quarterback for the Raiders flag football team that plays during the summer.
Okay, that I could see. I didn't see the flag football thing, but I can see that. But yeah, Tanya, no, that Tom Brady is not gonna. Tom Brady is going to take the same amount of snaps as a Raider that friggin' well, yeah, but I was going to say Brown, the wide receiver that we got from the Steelers that, AB, he'll take the same amount of snaps as a Raider like that Antonio Brown did. Zero snaps. So yeah, Tanya, do not worry. I'm telling you, it's not true. Maybe for I didn't hear about the flag football team. That would be something cool.
Hey, John Copeland. They don't have a flag football league. That's the only way that Tom Brady's going to come out of retirement and do anything quarterback for the Raiders.
Hey, Maria, anybody that's over there on Instagram, I'm charging my phone right now, which is why you are getting a side views picture. Come on over to YouTube, and thank you for being there. Everybody over there on Instagram, everybody that's over here on YouTube and Facebook, and also our show, which is on the National Streaming Sports Network on Roku, but we can't cuss. Tom was on for shows before where we couldn't cuss on Roku, but yeah, you're welcome, honey. You're welcome. I would definitely want to make sure that you were not of a saint that it's like, oh my God, Brady's going to play quarterback for the Raiders. So there you go.
Nope. Not going to happen.
Hey, Jared actually has a good question for you as well. And I think that might happen. Yeah. I think it's going to be Dart.
Dart's going to go ahead of Milroe.
Dart.
I would not be surprised to see Dart gone by the 12th or 13th pick, to be honest with you. I think he's going to get overdrafted. And then once Dart goes off the board, at that point, I'm assuming he'll be the third quarterback selected because you've got Ward, Shador, number 2, and then once Dart goes, I think Milroe's going to go real quick after that. So Regardless of which one of those two goes, I think the other one will go right after it. So you could conceivably have 4 quarterbacks drafted in the first round, which I think would be a huge mistake. But yeah, like as well as I do, that when you get a run on a certain position, they just happen. And so I think once Dart gets selected, Milroe is going to go real quick. If Milroe goes ahead with somebody, then Dart will be probably the very next pick.
Yeah, and again, I can see, and I've been speaking about Jackson Dart for a while, and then he had the fantastic pro day. He had the very awesome combine in Indianapolis, and I'm like, yeah, he's not going to be available for the Raiders because somebody's going to
bowl
grab
game that he
and
had against Duke was awesome. He killed that. I mean, I think that's where he probably made buttered his bread in that game alone.
Mm-hmm. Well, the fact is that I would have loved to have seen him as a Raider. And actually, I think you alluded to it, but before you said you have no hesitation about AOC 12 going to somebody. Like I said, I have no hesitation as long as we get something good out of the deal.
Right.
For whoever wants AOC 12.
And again, it really depends on what Pete Carroll wants in his backup. Do you want a guy who's going to come in and be that stabilizing force, who kind of is a placeholder, or do you want to come in and have somebody totally different? Now, I'm going to throw a real a time machine thing at you, Jack, and you'll probably remember, and a couple of the other listeners will. Well, so I'm gonna throw an old NBA reference here to you. So back in the day.
Oh boy. Double whammy.
So back in the 80s, the Boston Celtics used to have this guy, and they touted him as the sixth man, Paul Silas, and he would come off the bench. He wouldn't do anything spectacular. He wouldn't do anything spectacular, but he would do everything fundamentally right. He would just come in. He would get the minutes. He would do the grunt work. He would do the things that he wouldn't put up a lot of flashy stats. But again, he would spell the guys that need to be spelled, and you wouldn't be losing anything in the process. So that's what I think you get with O'Connell. He's probably not flashy, but he'll be stable for you, and will do that. So now, does Pete Carroll want that, or does he want the Raiders version of Detroit Pistons 1990 Vinnie Johnson? Now, you may remember Vinnie Johnson. So Vinnie Johnson didn't start very many games. No.
Yeah, the fridge. Actually, the microwave. It was
the microwave. Yes, right. So Vinnie Johnson would come in off the bench, and he would just light it up. They put the ball in his hands, and he'd just get quick points, and they called him the microwave because he could come in and just change a game instantly. Now, they didn't start him very much, but he would come in off the bench, and they would say, "Here comes the microwave." And sure enough, he would electrify the entire court and just change the whole dynamic. So the question is, with Pete Carroll, what do you want in your backup? Do you want a guy who's going to come in and be the stabilizing force and do the things right fundamentally, maybe not put up stellar stats, but hold the place for you? Or do you want somebody to come in who can be a game changer and totally take over the game? And in that case, you're going to need a young mobile quarterback who's got a good, strong arm, but can also do it with his legs. So again, that ain't Aiden O'Connell. So again, Pete Carroll's going to have to make the decision. I see the note in the chat about Ewers talking about wanting to play for the Raiders. I'd stay away from him. I would stay away from him. I like him. He's a great kid, but his injury history is worse than Will Johnson's. And I could see him going down quicker than Jimmy Garoppolo. And that's all I'm going to say on that. I think he's going to be plagued with that for his entire career.
Well, actually, there's nobody in Vegas that goes down quicker than I do, but it just depends upon the location. Just saying. And I like Quinn Ewers as well. And if you're going to go Quinn Ewers, here's something else. You can also get the kid. And what are your thoughts about the kid? There's a couple people actually. The kid from Louisville, and I said that correctly, is Louisville. You got to say it like they say down in Louisville. Yeah. The kid from Louisville actually is a good project. Okay. There's also the kid that went to North Dakota State that the Raiders did have in for a meeting. And remember, North Dakota State is that division or not what used to be Division II, D2, but now I think they actually call it something else. So they elevated that status. Remember, Trey Lance was there. Carson Wentz came from there. There's somebody else who's actually was a pro quarterback, and the name escapes me right now, that went to North Dakota State. So they are a quarterback factory, and the guy has the intangibles as far as the size, the speed, and the arm. And then there's the kid from Canada. And again, I have no freaking, I can't remember his name either. Okay. But he was invited to the combine because, he's in Canada and, he doesn't have like a per se great college that he was from, but he was invited to the combine, and with his intangibles, size, speed, arm, he's somebody you might take a flyer. In fact, you might take a flyer on him as an undrafted free agent, unless somebody does the Brock Purdy shit and use your last 7th round pick on him just to take him off the board, so you have him in your camp. What about the other guys that you can see?
The other two guys, one of them is the only question really on him is his size, and that's Dylan Gabriel, the quarterback out of Oregon. He's got a lot of experience. He's got a lot of playmaking ability, and that can make him a really good option going in. And of course, the other one is the one that Chip Kelly is very familiar with, and that's Will Howard. He really came on fast at the end of the year. He might still be there in the 3rd round. You might be able to pick him up in the 3rd round. So again, I don't know what exactly they're looking at and what their thoughts are with the quarterback. I think they probably would definitely pick one up, and certainly I would go ahead and draft one later in the round as well. You talk about picking up an undrafted free agent. I think that they could easily pick up a good one toward the back end of the round, still get a fairly good one in the 6th or 7th round.
Yeah. And Tanya, in answer to your question, I will say this, and I don't know how long you've been watching the show, but when the Raiders were looking for a head coach, and I think Tom might have watched some of these shows because Tom's been busy as well. He might have seen me here, and I was jumping up and down, literally jumping up and down, when I said, okay, you might get the guy that went from Detroit to Chicago. Okay. And I had a show or two on that. In fact, I don't even remember his name right now, but he was the flavor of the 2 weeks, right? He was the guy that Brady said, even when Brady did the playoff game, and he was very, very precise with his words, so they couldn't talk about tampering and things like that. Whatever that guy's name was, Johnson, I think, right, was the guy that went from the Detroit Lions OC to now he's the head coach with the Bears. And I said, okay, I get it. I said, if that's our guy, okay, but go and get me Pete Carroll. And I said it before we had Pete Carroll. I said, if you want a head coach that's available right now and it has a track record and can do things and Pete can turn a team around, go get me Pete Carroll. He's only been gone a year, and he can build this franchise back to where it should be. So my honest thoughts of Pete Carroll is I'm so glad that we got Pete Carroll, and we're going to see immediate impact. Remember, Pete Carroll has never lost more than I think he's the worst he's lost was he was like 8-8 maybe. Or he's always won at least 7 games. He's always won at least 7 games as a coach. And I figured that's the bottom mark for the Raiders. And the way that they're doing things, Pete coming in, okay, with that pedigree, the people that want to play for him, that's the reason why Geno Smith is here. Because he said, Pete Carroll is over there in Vegas. I want to go to Vegas. So he's already brought people.
I'll do you one. I'll do you one better than that, Captain Jack. I've always liked John Gruden, but I was not on board when they brought Gruden back for 2.0. I thought that was not a good decision. So if you ask me, I will tell you that in the entire time that Mark Davis has been the owner of the Raiders, we have only had one coaching upgrade that entire time, and that was when they brought in Jack Del Rio to replace the interim tag that they had at the point. They had fired Dennis Allen, and they had converted. I can't think of the late great coach's name now, Sperano. They had made him the interim coach at the end, and then they brought in Del Rio. That is the only coaching upgrade. That is the only time in the entire Mark Davis history that he's owned the team that you could legitimately say that they got a better an upgrade from coach what they had the previous season. It just hasn't happened.
I agree. And
so now they got somebody.
It's kind of it's kind of bad because Jack Del Rio was an upgrade. But for those that know me and know that I say this, the reason why Jack Del Rio didn't make it was because, unlike Gruden, and I agree with you with Gruden 2.0, I was not really happy with Gruden 2.0. But unlike Gruden, who was first one in and last one out, it was Gruden and Gannon, first one in and last one out. Unlike that, Jack Del Rio was the last one in and the first one out. And there are people that can attest to that. And he was still the best coach that we had up to that time. So that's pretty bad when he was the best coach we had up to the time, and he was an upgrade, but still he was gone quickly. He
broke the playoff drought and had him back in the playoffs within 2 years.
Yeah. And it was sorry to see him go, but they said, see. And he was fired on the field, folks. If you remember right, he was fired on the field in, I think it was Los Angeles. It was like the last Charger game that they played at the soccer stadium. Or no, I was at that game. Maybe it was the year before that. The last game that they played on the soccer field, I got a button. It was like the last game in that soccer stadium because I was there for that game in Los Angeles. So it was the Raiders-Chargers game. It's a really nice button. I got a couple of them. But he was fired on the field the last game. He didn't even get to the locker room. Mark Davis was like, by the way, you're gone. You're fired.
He announced it. He announced
Pete
his
Carroll.
own fire.
Yeah. It's like he probably said, "Are you going to take me out to dinner?" I would have asked for a dinner. I said, "Hey, take me out for dinner at least,"
Yeah.
But that's just me. Well, we'll do well, Tanya. Well, I think he's going to get things right in this draft. I really do. Great fit.
And Pete Carroll,
Jared,
we have a coach that we can trust.
Yeah. In Pete, we trust. We like that. So again, if you want questions that you want to ask to the old bastard here, I was watching a video the other day when it was myself and Hollywood and Power Raider and Raider Singh was there. And he's going around the table, and here we have, and I said, "Yeah, the old bastard. Yeah, it's like not ODB. That's the rap guy, old dirty bastard. But yeah, the old bastard's here. But hey, good to see you there, Jeff. Appreciate that. But we'll see what. Any other questions? Please put them in the comments. And if you're game, maybe at about the 10:30 mark, So I want to give our guest the chance to wax poetic. Remember, he gave me carte blanche. I'm giving him another carte blanche. He's got to carry the next 30 minutes because he's got a lot to talk about. So he said, I told you, I'm going to put you to work there, Tom, because I don't like doing it by myself. I really don't. I like to have somebody to bounce things off of, for sure.
Well, you've got me here till about 10:30. You've got me here till about 10:30.
Okay,
so that's fine. Yeah.
There you go. It's official. It's official. Tom is going to be going away in about 26 minutes. Okay. So if you want to talk to somebody who's knowledgeable, do it now. And then I will open up the board after that. Okay. Jimmy Farrell, good to see you, brother. Jimmy Farrell said he was going to be here. So, yeah. Move AOC to get Hunter. Yeah, I was going to say, interesting. And a good question by Edwin. Yeah, Carroll doesn't want Sanders, but Brady wants. Okay. Yeah, and that's a good thing. And we were talking about that. And I know Ed's been here since the beginning of the show. I said if they move up to go anywhere, I can see Cleveland. Because I think it's Tennessee, then Cleveland, then the New York Giants, who definitely need a quarterback. And if they're not sold on Sanders, then that you're looking at Ward going 1, Hunter, and then Carter. If you go 1, 2, 3, where it's without Sanders, you go 1, 2, 3, Ward, Carter, Hunter, not necessarily in that order, and then you got Graham at 4 to the Patriots.
No, I think the offensive tackle is going to go 4.
Yeah. Membo or the other kid. There's another kid, out of LSU that might be that guy because he's been up and down the road. So you got an offensive lineman to the Patriots at 4. Then you got 5. You got the Jags at 5. And they ain't going quarterback, especially because, they think that the new coach for the Jags, Cohen, is going to be the renaissance for Golden Boy for the kid out of Clemson. And I know Hollywood knows it. I'm brain farting his name. Sunshine. I call him Sunshine, just like the movie Remember the Titans. Sunshine.
So Will Campbell is the offensive tackle out of LSU that we're talking about, who probably will go number 4. And then you've got Mason Graham behind him. Then you got T-Mac, and then Armand Membo is behind that. So he's the second tackle probably that will go in the draft. But again,
well, you know what? You might flip flop Membo and Johnson because Membo is more athletic.
True. It depends on who selects him. It depends on who selects him. If he goes to New England, New England wants that bigger guy on the tackle side. So I think they go with Campbell. But now if Campbell's already gone or gets traded out, Membo is the smaller, more nimble of the two. Mm-hmm. By smaller, I mean that relative terms. when you look at those tackles,
I was going to say Membo. Yeah, he ain't small, but he is fleet of foot. I think Membo might be 6'5", and Johnson is 6'6", 6'7", maybe
something like that. I think Membo's like closer to 6'4", but again, it's in relative terms. But New England likes their big tackles. They always have.
Yeah, they took Skittles and was it I can't remember, Trent Brown. I had a name for him and I can't remember. It was like donuts and something else, because that's all he did was, he ate donuts, and he did nothing for us. He went to the Patriots and did a little more than something for the Patriots, but it was barely enough. And they like those big gargantuan tackles.
We used to refer to Trent Brown in derogatory terms, and we used another a Hostess product that was on the cupcake side, and we called him Ding Dong.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. It was like actually, I think I did call him Twinkies and Donuts or something. But he was not worth it, and we paid him all that money. Paid him all of that money, and he was. Oh my God, what a horrible signing!
Gruden sold the farm for him. If he had played anything, they would have made the playoffs that year.
Who do you think will be the surprise pick? I think that it might be how high Jackson Dart goes. I don't not necessarily saying a surprise pick, but how far up? Because
I think the surprise pick. I think is going to be.
He might be. Is Sanders?
I think the surprise pick is going to be Shador wherever he goes. He's either going to go too high or too low.
Okay. Okay. I can see
ideally,
that. I can see that.
I think his ideal spot. And again, if you look at the draft boards and everything else, he should go to New Orleans at pick number 9. That's where he should go. And again, if I'm looking at all the players ahead of him in terms of talent and in terms of different teams with different needs, if we don't do any trade ups at all, I think Sanders is there at the number 9 pick for New Orleans, and I think that's a good spot for him. I think that's not too high and not too low for him. He's not going to be happy with that, certainly, but that would still give him a top 10 draft pick. But I just don't see him higher than that. But some team might pull the trigger and draft him higher than that. But I think there's a possibility also that he could fall.
Yeah, and Mike, thanks for that, because I couldn't remember what I called him. Twitter and donuts. That's what I called him. I knew there was a twa in there. Thank you, Mike Sarah. That's why Mike Sarah's here, because he remembers shit that I kind of remember. I'm not senile yet. I don't have Alzheimer's yet, but I do I sometimes forget shit. But you guys remind me.
You got your people looking after you.
You do. I do. Yeah. And Jim McPhail, we did talk about that, trading from 6 to 9 and getting their second rounder for that. But yeah, second rounder this year. I'd take a number 1. If the Saints were stupid enough to swap picks for a number 1, I do that in a megasecond. I do that in a megasecond. I don't think they're even that stupid. I think that they would swap ones and give us a 2. But
there's a lot that New Orleans needs. So I think they're going to stick at number 9. Now the question is, if Sanders is gone, then this is the part where we're talking about Dart and Milroe. Now, if Sanders is already gone by pick number 9, does New Orleans pull the trigger at that point and go with either Dart or Milroe? So we talked about the fact that quarterback runs can happen early, and it could happen with either of these two guys. And it could just be that if New Orleans is in that desperate mode and they need a quarterback, and both the other two guys are gone, you could see either Dart or Milroe end up in New Orleans at pick number 9.
Yeah, actually, I could see that, especially with Nollins, because Jackson Dart, Ole Miss, Jalen Milroe, Bama, local guys, basically. Local guys playing in Nollins. You can't draw that up as far as for fan appreciation of somebody that they could connect with immediately, okay? Hell, Archie Manning, the original Manning, by the way, Archie Manning played for Ole Miss, okay? And when he went to, that's one of the reasons why Nollins grabbed him, because they just saw, this is our quarterback, this is our guy. And boy, if you would have had it, Archie Manning was such a great quarterback that doesn't get a lot of respect, other than his lineage. And remember, the one guy that didn't play in the pros was better than both Eli and Peyton. And that's the one that didn't get a chance to play ball, which is unfortunate. But yeah, Archie. But I can see Jalen Milroe or Jackson Dart. That would be a surprise pick, like you were talking about, Ed. I can see that happening to Nollins at 9. That's overdrafting both of them.
Mm-hmm. Either one would be an overdraft, and I think Dart's going to go ahead of Milroe. That's just my guess. I could be wrong, but again, we're here prognosticating and proselytizing. So it's what we do.
Yeah. Well, as long as we're not proselytizing what from the words of what proselytizing really means, not on my show. Gotcha. Not on my show. But we'll do football proselytizing any day, or sports proselytizing any day of the week. And thank you, DL.
Some people, Captain Jack, football is religion.
It is. It is religion. And I say that people ask me about mine, and I say I am a member of the Church or technically the synagogue of Val Davis, because it's that important to me. And I'm not poo-pooing religion. Okay. Those of you who know me know that I am Judeo-Christian. Okay. Because mom was Christian and dad was Jewish. So I am Judeo-Christian from Jump Street. Right. So I say I am of the church, technically the synagogue of Val Davis. Bless us all. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu. That's all I can say in Hebrew. That's the beginning of a bunch of prayers. That's probably the only Hebrew that I know. And you go things behind that. By the way, I watched the Ten Commandments last night. You got to watch the Ten Commandments when it's on. You know, Charlton Heston and E.G. Marshall, E.G. Robinson. Sorry, E.G. Marshall was the other guy, and Vincent Price and Yvonne DiCarlo, and the guy who had the 3 hottest wives ever, John Derek. Are you kidding me? John Derek, who had Ursula Andress and then Linda Evans and then Bo as his wives. We are not worthy, John Derek. We are not worthy. So you got to watch the Ten Commandments as well.
Hey, Captain Jack, I thought that there were, according to Mel Brooks, weren't there 15 commandments before he dropped one of the tablets and broke 5 of them?
Yes, because Moses dropped one. He dropped the tablet. He did. It was 15, and that was the movie. That was a great movie, by the way.
History of the World.
And now I do the 15 up the 10 Commandments. Go watch what was the fucking name of that movie there, Tom?
Mel Brooks' History of the World.
History of the World. Thank you. History of the World. Great film. You can't go wrong with the Mel Brooks film. It is Palm Sunday. Thank you there, Jimmy Farrell. And that's why I'm saying, for those that don't know, and I will say this again, I am heading to the draft. Maybe. I am heading to the draft, maybe, depending upon what my doctor says on Wednesday. But as a nicety to the family, if my son can come over, I will do Easter dinner here on Sunday. If he doesn't come over, I'm gone on Thursday. So if the son can come over, I'll do Easter dinner here on Sunday, and I'll get on the road Sunday night to get a little bit of a start. But that's a nicety to the family. See, I do things nice, religious wise for the family.
Jack, here's my tribute. So it is Palm Sunday, unless you're a Dallas Cowboy fan, in which it's Palm Sunday.
We need more Cowboys fans at Palm Face Sunday. Oh my God. I tell you there, Tom, I meet people all the time. I said, hey, come watch the show. It's not just Raider fans. I said, there's a lot of Raider fans, but it's not just Raider fans. And I tell Cal, I said, watch the show. Come in and talk. You will be the first Cowboy fan to come in and talk. And every one of them balks. They won't come in and talk about their team. They won't. And they all have the same thing to say. We ain't going to win until Jerry Jones is gone. Well, buddy, that ain't happening for another 40 years because it's Jerry and their sons that's going to screw your franchise for at least another 20, 30 years. So you got that to deal with. But we'll deal with it. Yeah, Jimmy Farrell, I'm supposed to be next year in Pittsburgh. Hopefully I'll be there. I'll be able to see you and Jared in Pittsburgh because I didn't get a chance to see Jimmy Farrell yet. I was supposed to see him last year, but we never got a chance to connect. So hopefully that'll happen real soon.
Jack, are you planning on making any road trips this coming season at any games?
I'm glad you asked that. I am so glad you asked that. I'm sorry, my eyes are watering like a sieve. But yes, I am planning before the schedule comes out. I am planning. These are the plans to be determined by the schedule. I am planning to go to New England. I am planning to go to Philly. I am planning to go to DC. I am planning to go to Houston. I am possibly going to Denver only, and the Denver one is only if I get the seats next to my friend Bronco Mary, because I won't go to Denver unless I'm with her, because Denver fans are, okay, and you guys can hear me say that. You didn't hear it, but for the 95% of them, 95% of them are, and I don't want to deal with that crap in Denver. The only reason I would go to Denver is if Mary gets me a ticket next to her and she has a good line on tickets, and then I might go to Denver. Otherwise, hey, Tanya, thank you for coming in. Thank you for coming in. We appreciate you. Come in anytime. I try to do shows Sundays and Thursdays, and love seeing you. So please come on in. It's always a pleasure. And whoever that wonderful gentleman is that is behind you is a very lucky guy. That's a very lucky guy, Tanya. So I'll give you that. And thank you for coming in. Go Raiders. Appreciate that.
Jack, the reason why I was asking the reason why I was asking you the question is we're going to have to hook up for either Philly or DC or both.
Okay. That would be good. And again, depending upon where the schedule is, because again, and I was driving. You're in the Carolinas, and I was going to try to find.
I'm in
go
DC.
Through. Oh, you're in DC. Okay,
I'm in DC.
I was trying to go through the Carolinas on my trip, but again, depending on what the doc says, go through the Carolina. But yeah, in DC, that'll be fantastic because, it also depends upon when the games are.
That's the kicker.
And I know the NFL is going to fuck us for at least one, if not two games of those three, because they're outdoor Northeast cold. I know for a fact the NFL is going to say, oh, come to New England in December or early January, or come to Philly in December or early. I'll go to Philly because I'm from Philly. I'll grin and bear it going back to Philly. So I want a cheesesteak and I want to see friends in Philly. So I'll grin and bear it. I'm pretty much, whenever Philly is, I'm going to probably go.
I could see them hitting us with New England on New Year's Eve. I could see that.
Is New Year's Eve a Sunday?
I have to look on the count, but right around that time, I have to look and see what it is on the schedule. But
yeah,
I can see them hitting us right at the end of December, not the last week of the season, but the next to last. I could see them making us go to New England for that.
Yeah, because we went to Nolens last year for what was the New Year's game.
Yeah,
I remember
that Sunday.
I didn't go. I was. Yeah.
That Sunday would be December 28th. So
yeah,
right after Christmas.
That sounds about right. Yeah, that would suck right after Christmas to go up to New England.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm hoping, Tom. I'm hoping I get a chance to see you. Maybe we can do a show side by side instead of right next to each other.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well,
Jeff says New Year's Eve is the third. Yeah.
New Year's Eve is
maybe though.
Yeah.
Okay. Good. Thanks.
The thing is, I think the last week of the regular season, they haven't announced the schedule yet, but I think the last Sunday of the regular season would be January the 4th. So they might do something New Year's Eve. I doubt it because of all the bowl games. So they probably would just, if anything, they might do a couple of games on Saturday, January the 3rd, and then January the 4th. But Sunday the 4th, I think, is going to be the last week of the regular season. So that's going to be a division game. I'm almost certain that they would end up with a division game there. So the New England game could be the next to last week of the season. But you're right. They would
Okay.
definitely do that to the Raiders. They would throw us outside up in New England right after Christmas.
If 401, do I know you am? That would be Mr. Jeff LaFontaine. Thank you, sir, for coming in. Only because you have the New England Raider booster screen. So, yes, I do know who you are, Jeff. The logo is bigger on it. Yep, there you go. As soon as I put it up, yes. But I was like, I don't know who the hell you are. I'm like, oh, okay. Now I know who you are. So thanks for popping in. And again, Jeff is,
Jeff,
like
Jeff
I said,
knows what we're
Jeff
talking
is who
about.
I'm going to go.
Jeff knows what we're talking about.
We're
gonna get hit. We're gonna get hit with that December 28th game up in New England.
Oh my God! I tell you what. If that happens, let me get a late Christmas present by beating the friggin'. I can't call them the Cheatriots anymore, Tom. That's the one thing. Once Belichick left, once Brady left. I can't call them the Cheatriots anymore. I got to go back to calling them the Pats. So that's
just
it.
Call them the Patsies.
And yeah, we're saying Jeff. Yeah,
call them the Patsies.
But I like what Jeff said. The New England Pathetics. I like that. I tell you what, though, Jeff,
it's getting to be
that team is going to be about
10:30. It's getting to be about 10:30. Let me make you this promise. And if you're going to be on Thursday, I'm happy to jump back on with you on Thursday.
I'm looking that way because, again, I go to my doctor on Wednesday, and I think I can do it. What I wanted to do is, even when I did my trip last year, is when I had time to do it, is I would pull off to the side of the road and go to some place that had a Wi-Fi and do it. So I will try to, it might be a little bit less. It definitely won't be from the studio. If I am here for Sunday, it'll be here at the studio. By the way, I want you to see the brand new studio.
Nice.
with the wonderful, luxurious couches and love seats. Now it is a nice studio. Look at that. That's why I'm spending more time in this room. I used to spend time in this room just behind the computer. But now that I've gotten that, oh my God. That's once the sound system gets set up, because they didn't give me the instruction books. So once because there's sound in the couches and shit. So yeah, there you go. It's the casting couch.
Chamberlain's pad got nothing on you.
Yeah, man, it's nice. It is the Raider studio. It is the Captain Jack Gallion studio. So it is good and sweet. It is sweet. Thank you, Rory. Good to see you. And I know, Tom, you're about ready to bolt. So any final words, brother?
No final words. If you want to reach me, you can reach me. My handle on Twitter, the X has changed. It's now Raider T-Bone. So it's a lot easier to find. So just easier to remember. So hit me up there if you have any questions. Again, that's probably the easiest place to find me. So I'm trying to see if I can do a couple of YouTube selfies. The Only Nation podcast, we're on a little bit of a hiatus right now. We're trying to kind of get things together to see what our format's going to be, but I might try to put a couple of selfies out there on YouTube in the meantime. But Jack, in the meantime, I'm looking forward to getting back on with you a few more times. So let's make this thing happen.
Anytime, man. Anytime. And you can always you hit me up during the week and say. And I'm almost always Thursday, Sunday. I do things with Peggy every other Tuesday or when there's stuff to talk about. And there's really I reached out. There's really not a lot to talk about. So you're always welcome. Just let me know. I'll throw, like the old Jim Rome thing. I'll throw you a vine. Fuck Rome, by the way. I'll throw you. You can be in with really good shit. So again, that's why I took it off. 2-3 Raider T-Bone on what used to be Twitter, but on the X, and go see him. And again, give my best to Heidi and all the other ladies that you hang out with there. Tell her I said hi.
Will do. Absolutely. Listen, everybody, have a great evening. Looking forward to getting again with you very soon, Captain Jack, and everybody stay safe and go Raiders.
You're you bastard. Thank you for coming in, Tom. You're always welcome, brother. Arr. That's Raider T3. So if you do want to come into the show tonight, I wanted to give Tom as much of the time as he could. So that's why, so there is at least a half an hour. There is the link, and Dory, thank you, sweetheart. I love my Dory. It's good to see Dory as well. Let's see if I'm missing. Oh my God, I'm missing some people on. Oh, Dory was over there on Instagram. Thank you, honey. And Baby is Bones. Thank you over there on Instagram. And Vegas Raider Dad over there on Instagram. Thank you for being here. I think, am I up at 100%? I am. Good. I can use my phone. I can put my phone like this now. So instead of the side view, you get the, whoop, if I can get it right, shit. Okay. Maybe it won't fucking fall. Oh my goodness. There we go. See, I had my phone was falling and my eyes are watering. Shut up, Gemini. I'm not talking to you. Oh my goodness. How the hell do you get out of Gemini? How do you get out of there you go. Now I'm out of Gemini. Fucking Gemini. So now we are on Instagram. Thank you for being there. I moved, so I'm here. If you want to come into the show, there is the link. Come on into the show. I put up the link, and it was always good seeing Tom. So love hanging out with Tom. And for those that are on IG, come on over to YouTube. Man, I don't know what it is, but I tell you, maybe it's the light, but maybe it's too dark. I don't know. But I didn't want so much light here, and it is stressing on my eyes. So I always seem to have an eye spasm. But yeah, you saw the room, as Dory says, sweet, thank you. The brand new furniture. The brand new furniture is also when you get to Tampa and you see the room, like you said, this is a Raider Hall of Fame. There's so much stuff in here that I can't even put all of it up. I said these are two what do you call it? Boxes full of shit. And behind me, there's another 2 boxes full of shit. And again, one of these days, I'm going to, like I said, do all of these giveaways. And again, I'm sorry, I'm remiss. It's not that I'm not doing it. It's just that I need to get the proverbial round 2 at a time. So if you want to come into the show, please do. I appreciate everybody being here. Lizzie D, good to see you, Lizzie D. Thank you. Come on, Lizzie D, you're over there on Instagram. Come on over here to YouTube. So again, we went over some wide-ranging remarks. Tom, who's a very, very astute and knowledgeable person, I am as well. I'm not saying this because I like to hear myself say I'm smart. I know that. I'm very knowledgeable on history. By the way, Tom or T3 had his series where he went through like the decades of the Raiders. He had like his own piece where he did the. Oh my goodness! It said my live video ended. I don't know why. Well, since it ended, I'll at least do this. But I don't know why it ended. That's unfortunate. Over there on Instagram. But Tom T3 has his stuff on his channel, and he did a whole series where he did like the 60s of the Raiders and the 70s of the Raiders and the 80s of the Raiders, and it was great. It was great. And hopefully, I'm trying to get this done. Yeah, I can get it shared to Facebook. There you go. There we go. Got that done. Share it up. New reel. Share. It does these. I don't know why. I'm restarting the phone. Maybe that'll help. But we got some time here. Again, I welcome everybody that's over here. Yes, multitasking. It's a little hard when you do. And I used to do Instagram from this source, but I noticed that it really took the band or the bandwidth, and it was slow as shit. Slow as shit. So I stopped doing it. I just doing it on my phone. So it comes out as a reel. So again, we spoke about draft, about various possibilities, about various peoples for the Raiders, and even for those that are still here. You know, I know Jared was coming in talking about, you know, what his Steelers might do. You know, Jackson Dart can go maybe as high as 9. Maybe it's Milrow at 9. But I really think it all depends upon where Shedeur Sanders winds up. Does he last to the Raiders at 6 and the Raiders trade out of the pick? I would personally be very, very disappointed if the Raiders took Shedeur Sanders at pick 6. They got so many other needs and so many great candidates to fill that spot. Whether it's a guy like Graham or Carter or Membo or the big tackle from LSU or Travis Hunter if he drops. Again, it depends on who drops. But there's so much. Ted McMillan, I'm not really high on. Genty, he's a very good back, but there's so many good backs in this draft. I mean, why pigeonhole yourself to Genty, right? I'm serious. Somebody's going to want Sanders. Somebody's going to want Genty. And I've said this for several shows. Trade out of the pick for somebody who wants that guy. And I think this will be the year that they can do that. Thank you, Matt. Appreciate you sticking there. Running back, cornerback, linebacker. More important, we can get a quarterback later in the draft. You got it. We just spoke about that. Will Howard, 3rd round, maybe. Dylan Gabriel, who I really liked, and I'm a very big fan of based upon his time at UCF and his time at Oregon. But when they say he's 6 foot tall in college and they embellish in college, he's got to be my size, 5'9". And by the way, I used to be 5'11", but I've shrunk. I admit it. I got that old age shit. You know, you shrink a couple inches when you get older. And as Matt says, Will Howard knows the system. Now, if, for example, and isn't this great that we're talking about? Like I said, let's say the Saints trade up for our pick and we drop to 9 and we get somebody awesome at 9. And then we got those 2 picks in the second. I'm thinking they're going to have to trade up, give us their 2nd round pick, right? We could possibly do a back-to-back. Travion Henderson and Quinshon Judkins in a 2nd round. Boom, boom. Get our running backs squared away right there. And whoever we pick up in the 1st round, and then whoever we pick up in the 3rd round, my God, there's so many possibilities. But we will be getting a quarterback this draft, just not, hopefully, just not in the 1st round. So, and thank you, Matt, for being here again. We do know all of these things well, not that we know all these things, but we think these things. That and Tanya was here earlier, and I've never seen Tanya, so welcome to the show, Tanya, and she's gone. But she's really, yeah. And Matt, I'm just not sold on taking Genty that high. I'm just not sold on taking Genty that high when there are so many other good running backs in the draft. And we haven't even mentioned Cam Scatterboo, right? We haven't even mentioned Cam Scatterboo. And he will be available. And Omarion Hampton's going to be a first-round back. I think that Omarion Hampton will be off the board in the first round. I tell you, God forbid, if he's available in the second round, if people pass on him in the first round, I'd take Omarion Hampton in the second round in a minute. But I tell you what, if he's on the board in the second round, Omarion Hampton, I think somebody's going to trade up to the number one pick in the second round. If he's there day two, somebody's going to trade up to that number one pick in the second round for Omarion Hampton if he's there. We did the same thing with Michael Bush. I remember this. We traded for the very first pick of the second round. Look it up because he was available. Michael Bush out of Louisville. Hey, Stoffel. Good to see you, brother. And yeah, that's Matt. That's why I'm saying that, if Genty, yeah, but you got Judkins and Henderson that already know the system. I definitely would take them in a minute. I think one of those guys is going to be our guy. But, Jalen Walker, like I said, is another possibility. Nembo and the kid from LSU at tackle. Graham. I don't think Graham's going to drop, but, there's weird things going on. So who knows? And it's one of those things where we'll see. I will be, and I think I've said this already. I will be here, or I might be on the road Sunday. I might have to do a redo on Sunday if I start, because it is Easter. And I planned on being here for Easter with the family. If the doctor says I need to have some surgery, I will be doing surgery, and I'll let folks know about it. I'll do a blast. But if it's something that's needed surgery wise, I'm going to take care of it as soon as possible. I will take care of it as soon as possible. Yeah, Matt, I for the most part, maybe, but you can't tell me that there's somebody that is the quality of a impact offensive lineman or defensive lineman in the first round. No, I disagree. I disagree. I'm wondering who we taking. And I got you there, Stoffel. Hey, Ken Clark, good to see you. I'm glad that you're doing well, Ken. I was just, I don't know when you came in, but I am possibly on the road for the draft, either Thursday night or maybe Sunday night after Easter dinner, or maybe Monday morning, or maybe not at all if I have to do the surgeries. That's why I said there's a lot of things that are going on. But hopefully I will know on Wednesday once I get back from the doc. So having said that, and my phone, the other phone, which I did have on charge, so it's all charged up. And it was on Instagram, so hopefully the Instagram thing went through. I hope it did. It was supposed to be a reel, so I pushed share a bunch of times. We'll talk about it as we know more about it, and it'll be very interesting. It'll be very interesting to see, Because if you're a Raiders fan and you said all of those times that the Raiders have really screwed up the draft, I've been there, man. I've been there with you. So I'm hoping that they don't screw up the draft again. So I know that Stoffel's been out there. Matt's always in the comments, so thank you there, Matt. I saw Dory. Good to see Dory, and maybe Jeff. If Jeff wants to pop in, Jeff might be doing a show. What was it? Oh my goodness! I had a. Oh my goodness! What can I do here? I can't. How do I get rid of a comment? I need to get rid of a comment. I'm trying to get rid of a comment. Can somebody get rid of that comment from what is it? Endo McDevitt, best viewers on Stream Boo. Yeah, whatever. I wish I can get rid of it. If you are one of my peeps that has powers to get rid of that Twitch comment. It's a bunch of crap. Bunch of crap. So again, we are at God, I don't even remember what day is it. Oh, it is Sunday. Yeah, it is Sunday. Not working. I know I have a show. I just can't remember some days if it's Sunday or Thursday. So I will say my best to you. I didn't know whether Jeff could come in, LaFontaine, if he's not doing a show. If Sharif Allah Khan is out there not doing the show, he will come in. I will be here for a couple more minutes. I'm going to leave it open. You want to come in, do it now or forever hold your peace. Because what's that? Is not playing any Chelsea's winning the cup. Okay. Anyway, hit me up here. It is the Ask Captain Jack show. Again, today was Masters Sunday. Congratulations to Rory McElroy. It was so good to see somebody that was so emotional for his win, so emotional for that win at the Masters. And I love to see that. I love to see that. So congratulations to Rory McIlroy, now a Grand Slam member in golf. So it doesn't look like we're going to have anybody else. So again, my final thoughts are to you. Become a member of the Black Hole. This is the 30-year anniversary of the Black Hole. Go to theblackhole.com. Look where it says memberships and hit it where it says memberships. Become a member. I think it's maybe $70, but it's a one-time hit. You are a member for life once you spend your money for your lifetime membership to the Black Hole. Again, this is the 30-year anniversary of the Black Hole organization, an umbrella organization for Raiders fans. You could be a member of whatever Raider booster club you want. Yeah, oh, Jeff, I was just saying, it's kind of late now, but if you were doing a show, got it. But become a Black Hole member. And this is right along what I was talking about with you, Jeff. Jeff is a member and actually is the president of New England Raider Booster Club. He's their president. He can become a member of the Black Hole because it is an umbrella organization for Raider fans around the world. Raider Nation is worldwide, and the Black Hole does positive things for Raider fans. I know that the Black Hole is looking for these games where we are going to other places. There's going to be, bigger parties in other places and other events. Like that's why I said I'm looking at what the schedule says, because I definitely want to go see my boy Jeff and all the rest of the clan over there in Connecticut and Rhode Island and like that. Definitely want to see them in Philly. and in Washington. Like if I see T3, it'll be in Washington or Philly. Houston, for sure. There'll be some major events down in Houston. We do things as a whole. The Black Hole has parties and events for Raider Nation everywhere. And remember that when you come to Vegas, that's, oh my God, Black Hole events in Vegas I believe it's the Golden Nugget. Is the new place to be for the Black Hole. You know, it is up in Fremont. There is a Black Hole store. I believe it is at the Golden Nugget. And so come by that place. I said there is Black Hole stuff there. There's a store there. There is also will be and it's coming out soon, there will be an app, you know, where you are a member, a Black Hole member. You get on the app and you have your membership right there, and you can sell your tickets to other Raiders fans. You don't have to sell them through Ticketmaster. Sell them in the app. And finally, when you're in Vegas, oh yeah, when the meet and greet the Bunny Ranch. Well, I actually I got a buddy that's in Reno, and I'm supposed to go up there maybe one of these days. I'll be up there I'd be great to be up at the Bunny Ranch for that. But anyway, the after game events, Black Hole sponsored. The Sunday events, you know, my podcast, my broadcast on Sundays will be at a Slice of Vegas, the pizza place with some great Mexican food as well. After every Raiders home game, I will be out there doing a broadcast. The Black O will have prizes and giveaways there. I might even try to go. Is it a handicap accessible? Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Are you talking about the Bunny Ranch? Or are you talking about the Slice of Vegas? Because I know the Slice of Vegas is because I rolled my scooter right into the Slice of Vegas. Bunny Ranch does have a ramp. I know this because I went to the front of it. I took a picture in the front of the Bunny Ranch. I didn't go inside. I did not go inside. I admit this. I went to the Bunny Ranch. I took pictures. They have a ramp. They have a wheelchair ramp. So I'm pretty sure you can roll into the Bunny Ranch and hang out and do things in the Bunny Ranch. So just saying that. But anyway, the after Jeff, I'm telling you, if I indulged in the Bunny Ranch, I'd be the first person to say it. Yeah, I fucked in the Bunny Ranch. I didn't. I didn't fuck in the Bunny Ranch. First off, money, 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 too much money. But I did take pictures. But it's a good thing to have pictures of. Anyway, back to the point. See, you get me off my game. After game parties, the Ask Captain Jack show, sponsored by the Black Hole. After games in Vegas, home games. Thank you there, Ed. Appreciate it, Ed. Ed, I'll give you a call in just a little bit. So have your phone ready, brother. It'd be great to see everybody after games. The Black Hole will be sponsoring the show. And come on out to a Slice of Vegas. Have some great food and hang out with Raider fans there as we either bitch and complain or celebrate and partay on a Raider victory or a Raider defeat. But we're going to be there. We're going to be there as a family. So make sure you're out there as well. Slice of Vegas after the Raider games in Vegas. I'll be there. So having said that, it's now about time to go. I hope you enjoyed the show tonight. Thank you, Ed. I'll give you a call as soon as we're off, Ed. Thank you for being here. And always remember, we are a family. We are a family. And it's as a family we collect as Raider Nation family. You know, doesn't matter who you are. we're all under the shield. So take care of yourselves. We'll see you for the next show, definitely Thursday. And have a good one. Well, what's Thursday? I know it's it's Palm Sunday and Ash Wednesday, and I know things are coming up this week as the Holy Week comes out. We'll see you guys and gals, mates and wenches. Yarg! From Captain Jack to you. Take care, everybody.